Hey y'all. Hey y'all. Welcome back. We're here. I'm saying we're like I'm speaking in third person. Anyway, y'all, it's me. I just be forgetting sometime. I'm back. It's Tuesday. You know, Tuesday, I'm used to Mondays, celebrating Mondays. So when I come on with Tuesdays, I have to give y'all the same energy. So yeah, I know we're a day into the week already. But it's still terrific Tuesdays, y'all. So come on in here. Come on in. Come on. How y'all doing? How was your day? How was your weekend? I would talk about the Super Bowl, but I don't want to be upset. So we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. But come on in. Let me know y'all here. Say hi to me so I can know. I'm excited to be here with y'all as always. Y'all make me so happy. Just say hi to me when y'all get here so I can know you're here with me. I know I'm not here by myself. I see there's a few people in, but I don't see names yet. So let me do my full inviting so far. Give me a second. But just let me know y'all here. And I'm going to start in a second. Y'all don't know how I do. Just give me my 30 seconds. And I'm going to get this thing going. Hey, Auntie Cynthia, how are you? I love you. I really have had a pretty productive day. Nothing too crazy. I always like to make sure that I'm, kind of giving you the way I feel. Hey, Richard, how are you? Thank you for all the love, bro. I know I do see how you share my page and my lives. I appreciate it. Real talk. People don't have to be nice to you. So I really super appreciate you sharing the live. It's so dope. And I checked you out a couple times before too. So I appreciate it. Y'all listen, support is not, it doesn't have to happen. So when people support you, you got to get them, definitely props and let them know that you appreciate it. But like I said, today has been pretty good. Nothing too stressful. I mean, how has your day went so far? See now, I meant to turn my ringer off for work. When I tell y'all think I'm playing when I tell y'all the work never stops. But I'm off work, so we're gonna stop that today. All right. Anybody else in here? I see some more people. Come on, say hi to me, y'all. Now, I mean, it's rude to walk in somebody's house and not speak. Just saying, I'm not asking you to give a dissertation. Just say hi. Say hey. Do a little wave so I can know you here. Let's get this party started, right? Okay, so I'm trying to wait, but I'm not going to. So y'all gonna catch you got to catch me on a replay. That's what y'all gonna have to do. That's okay. Hey Natalie girl, how are you, sis? Love you. I see your whole pop out. We'll talk about that another time. I love it. I'm looking at all the pop outs. First of all, I'm gonna do a slight sidebar. I don't know what it is about 2021, but I love the energy already in this year. I love the people who I think how 2020 has played out has definitely allowed some people to realize that, yes, listen, if not now, when? And if not me, who? And I love it. I'm loving it. I love all the energy I'm seeing. It's just pretty spectacular. So I mean, you're amongst the people I see just doing some dope stuff. So let's keep it going. All right, y'all. So first of all, let's recap a little bit. Last week was my first week doing this man's mental health. Aaliyah, girl, hey. This is my last week was the first week doing the men's mental health. Like I told y'all, I don't know if February anybody dubbed it, but here on Conversations from Paris, it is Men's Mental Health Month because I said it so. I just said so. You guys are special enough to get you guys a whole month. There you go, February. Yeah, I mean Black History Month, of course, right? Valentine's Day and stuff, but it's also we're gonna talk about this mental health. Get y'all straight on together, okay? So last week was phenomenal. On Tuesday, I talked about accountability and about how before we can have any of these conversations, taking a certain level of personal accountability and not being afraid to, look in. I mean, anybody who's a regular person that comes to the show, they know we talk about that often. But if you've not been here before, definitely wanted to make sure that you understand the necessity for that deep dive. And then last Thursday, I had my first speaker. His name was Gerald Washington. He did a phenomenal job. He was a licensed professional, a clinical therapist, and he came on here, and we kicked the week off for talking about the importance of looking into your past and looking at past stuff to make to go forward, and why we need to do that, and I thought it was an amazing conversation. If you did not catch it, please go watch the replay. It's on Facebook, still on this page, Conversations from Paris, and on my personal page, and it's also on YouTube. So it's no excuse, guys, no excuse. Just go watch it, right? It's amazing. You're gonna like it. And I hope that you guys shared that with somebody that you know. Come on, we all have a man in our life that we could share something like this with. I think, unfortunately, mental health, it's the same way we need Black History Month, is because we're not regularly celebrated. The same reason why we have to talk about men's mental health on purpose, because it's not something that you usually hear about. So that's why we're doing it purposely. Hey, cousin. Hey, Nikita. I love you. Thank you for tuning in. I know you're probably still working. I appreciate it. But the reason we're talking about it is because it's necessary. It's necessary to have these conversations because it's something that, for some reason, we always pin it to women, right? Like this idea that, oh, okay, that's a girl thing, or that's a woman thing, or that's just and it's so much. It's not gender specific. I'm gonna keep saying it until you believe it. Okay, so and then sometimes people dub this as, oh, that's just motivational talk or positive talk. And it's so much more than that. It's so much more. If you only knew how intricate the brain was, if you only knew how all this stuff that we're talking about, it absolutely affects every aspect of your life, you probably wouldn't take it as casually as you are. You probably would. You probably would not be as casual with your mental health as you were if you knew how many parts of your life it affects. I mean, literally every part of your life. And that's the goal. One conversation at a time, us talking about how to fix it. So today, you want to know what we're talking about, right? Yeah, I don't know if y'all saw my topic, but I'm going to put it on here just in case you could. But Superman, does he exist or not? Now, listen, y'all, this is not a Marvel Comics or a DC Comics conversation. I bet y'all didn't think I knew those terms, did y'all? This is not that. However, anybody who's regularly on here, you guys hear me talk a lot about the Superwoman complex. And, excuse me, hold on. Calm down, I'm not sick. I talk a lot. I've been on the phone all day. Anybody who's been on here has, they hear me talk about the Superwoman complex and how crippling that can be. And that's my firsthand experience, and how it's been horrible, especially in our community. But let's talk about the Superman complex. Because let me be clear, we probably don't call it that, right? Let's talk about it. We don't call it that. So men, y'all come a little closer to the screen. Y'all ladies, y'all can back up. You know, men are normally gentlemen and they can kind of like sit in the back and chill. Now y'all get a little closer. Y'all come talk to me. Y'all interact. Y'all ladies still for sure welcome to interact. But I just want them to hear me. So y'all don't call it the Superman complex. You don't look at yourself as Superman. So some parts of you probably don't believe is true. But I'm here to talk about what does that look like, right? What does it really encompass? And I'm going to first say this. There is, when you think about a man or what a man consists of, or what's expected of a man, there's a couple of words that come to mind: provider, protector, a pillar of the community, somebody that's based in logic, that's financially stable. It's all these like strength terms that are equated with being a man, okay? And because of that, I think if you talk to, okay, I'm going to say what I assume. If you talk to men that's handling their business, and this is something they do, it's not something they're trying to do, it's people that they're doing, they'll tell you, oh, that's no big deal. It's just what men do. This is just what we do. I don't need applause from taking care of my family. I don't need applause for taking care of my kids, going to work, or providing an income, or whatever. I don't need applause for that. So it's just what men do, right? That's what we've heard. However, I believe that although I do understand that, and I do believe that there are certain, I'm careful with saying gender roles. I will say there are certain expectations out of adulthood. I'll say that because I think it happens on women's side too. But for men especially, he can be adulting and still even be in a relationship. And there are certain expectations that come from him as a man, right? And so not just that people place on him, but this is what I want to talk about. A lot of times you place on yourself, or society as a whole has placed on the role. And I'm here to talk about why that's a dangerous, dangerous thing to allow yourself to fall into. Okay. Now, ladies, y'all might not like me for this so much. So I want y'all to please keep an open heart and an open mind here. By no means am I trying to undermine the accountability and the necessity for a man to stand up and do what he's supposed to do, as far as have integrity, as far as have financial responsibility and do the things he needs to do. Absolutely, that's necessary. But I also believe that there's a crippling pressure there, that if you are not careful, you can break under that pressure. Okay. I'm talking to the men today. I don't need, this is not a male bashing thing by any means. So I definitely I don't want any woman to dispute it. Not that any of you guys would, but I want everybody to hear me out. I think there can be a crippling pressure that is put on men sometimes when they're under these roles, okay? And I believe that if they're not able to properly compartmentalize this thing, if they're not able to properly put things in its place and break it up and say, okay, I can do this here, and okay, over here I can't do, okay, and what I can't do, this is what I can do to get there. If they're not able to kind of make that, proper delegation and to get a game plan, not only will it look to them as failure, not only will people from the outside look at it as failure and that they're less than a man or they're not a man, but internally, I believe there's something that happens to the emotional and mental capacity when someone feels like the very definition of what a man is, I don't even live up to. Okay. And I'm talking about this because, and no, I know I'm not a man. Guys, give me a little bit more credit than that. I hate the idea of, well, how is a woman talking to a man about man's issues? I hate the idea that if you're not one, that you can't speak on it. Vice versa. I don't agree when women say a man shouldn't speak on women's issues. I don't agree with that either. I don't agree when someone says if you're married, if you're single, you can't speak on married issues. I'm sorry. I just feel different about that. And if that is not your thought process, I totally respect it. But I'm going to say this, enough people are not talking about this. And so I'm going to step up and say something. And if I can reach one person, that's all that matters. But I know this conversation needs to be had because I believe the Superman complex is much more prevalent than we believe. They won't call it that, but they're going to just say, I'm just being a man. I'm just being a man. I'm trying to be a man. These are the things that's required from me, and I have to do it. And that's all fine and dandy until you break under that pressure, until something happens. And what happens is that you have to be careful of not falling into that cycle of, because I'm not living up to what the expectations are from me, that you tell yourself this toxic story, which usually consists of, you know, and we women do this too, but for men, I think it consists of something different. Well, what's the point? What's the point if I keep trying, if I'm going to keep failing? Why put the energy in if they're not going to respect me? I'm putting this work in, they still don't respect me. I go to the work and I work hard and they don't pay me what I'm worth. I talk to the people in my family and they don't respect me because they don't think I'm providing a certain to their level of expectations, so there's no respect there. Or even, let's just talk about it, especially if you're a Black or a person of color, with racism. If you constantly deal with a system where, as you are just going through life, you're being made to believe that you're less than, or that that you're a suspect just because you're a Black man, that wears and tears on men. And I see firsthand when I look at my father and my brothers and my male friends and my son. I see firsthand, just through observation, how fragile some of these events, these traumatic events, are leaving them. But it's not the way that you think, right? Everybody does not react to trauma the same way. Everybody doesn't have the same triggers. And I think because of the expectation to man up and just deal with life and not cry about it, then you again get this Superman complex, as though nothing should ever phase you. I hear guys say, oh, the Black Lives Matter thing didn't bother me, whatever, they've been doing that. Okay, well, I'm glad you're able to bounce back from that. Or I hear people say, oh, this Corona thing, man, whatever, I've been by myself all my life. It don't matter to me. This didn't even faze me. I'm just working. Oh, okay. And then something crazy happened. One of my parents died. Well, yeah, what can I do about that? I ain't about to cry about that. And you're like, well, that's kind of something that kind of probably hit you. Don't you want to talk about that? Nah, I'm good. And then, something other strange happens. One of their friends, their close high school friends, got killed. And then you're like, oh man, like, how are you feeling? Oh man, it's life. What can I do about it? When you find yourself constantly putting yourself in this place where you are not allowing yourself to feel. Remember, so you guys don't probably know what one of the things I say. Me being somebody that felt like vulnerability was weak. Me being somebody personally that is a recently recovered somebody that didn't want to wear my emotions on my sleeves. Me being somebody that did not want to show any emotion to the wrong people. I identify with this way more than you believe. And one of the things I know what used to be horrible was that I never was okay with the idea that I couldn't do something. I took it as a personal failure. And it kind of set with me when I wasn't able to do something that I needed to do or something I wanted to do. And so if I had to speak to this assertion that you always got to be the strong one, that you always got to be okay, that you always are the one, if somebody's breaking into the house, you got to go to the door and see what's going on. And although I don't say that's wrong, I do say, what if that man is scared just as the woman is? Is there room for that conversation? What if he's going out there and he's having to find another job and he's nervous and scared? Can he say that? Or is it just man up and go get a job, sir? What if rejection has started to plague him and he literally is paralyzed, emotionally numb because he's been rejected so much and he's not really dealt with that rejection that he doesn't know how to kind of move forward? What if? Let me tell you something I know. 9 out of 10 men are not going to just tell you that. They're not going to tell you that that last woman I dealt with, she broke me. They're not going to tell you that. Now, someone might tell you if they had a parent pass away that it really affected them, but they're not going to tell you, like, literally, I'm not okay. They're not going to say that. You might have a few that you can, if they really trust you, they might speak on it, but not really going to go out there and want to tell you that. They're not going to walk up to you and say, I'm not doing okay. I'm having a nervous break. No, not most men. Not most men. They're not going to say, hey, that I feel less than because I can't provide how I want to. Most times the way you'll see it is, oh, okay, I don't want, people think that men have commitment issues. And if you talk to most of them, they'll say, it's not a commitment issue. It's because I'm not where I want to be at life. And people say that's a cop out. I have my thoughts on both sides of that. We're not going to go there. But what I will say is that a lot of times it comes down to way more than that. A lot of times you have to understand what was provision like for them in the house they grew up in. If mama struggled her whole life and dad left her at a young age, and all he knew was that as a man, he had to make it. He didn't want to feel that feeling ever again of not having. Then if I don't like how I feel single out here trying to take care of myself and not having enough for me, how in the heck can I take on a family and say I'm the man of the family and I can't take care of it? Y'all, sometimes, and let me talk to some of the women on here. Sometimes women, we have to get beyond this idea of, oh, they just don't want me. Oh, I'm so rejected. Oh, they just don't want to man up, and realize that most people that's out here in this singles pool trying to do relationships, they're not even ready to really do relationships because they've not really worked on themselves yet. Whole nother conversation. I don't want to go there, but let's just be real. And sometimes it's like you hear people talking about it and it's like, okay, there's some codependency issues on your end, and then they have some stuff that they really have to work through. And y'all probably both shouldn't even be trying to do this together. Y'all probably should both take some time and do you on your own and heal, and then try to work this thing out again together if you can try to reconcile that. But that's a whole nother story. But what am I talking about? Paris, y'all think I'm going on a tangent. I'm really not. I'm really trying to talk about this complex in that I can't show my feelings, and I have and being a man is what a Superman is. Like, they don't call it Superman, but what it is that I have to always have it together. And if I have to go talk to somebody, if I have to mention to somebody that life is a little hard right now, that I'm less than a man. I can't handle it myself. And us destroying those social constructs. That's what we're talking about today. So does he exist? No, that's the answer. He doesn't exist. There's no such thing as Superman. He doesn't exist. And the man, being a man, I don't have to tell you, but you can look around and watch and see examples of men that have been or are that seem like they're breaking under that pressure. A lot of people don't have compassion for them, but I have a lot, right? I see past a lot of the stuff, right? Some people saying they just need to man up, and I don't even understand the whole term man up. Y'all, in 2021, can we get rid of the term man up or not? I'm gonna start a petition. In 2021, let's get rid of the term man up. What does that even mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? I've been told to man up, and I'm a whole woman. I probably said man up before. I'm not gonna lie. I told you I tell the truth on both sides of it. I'm telling you what I did and what I didn't do. I've said it before, but I think it's very damaging if you think about it, um, because of what's attached to it, right? We say this to our kids as young as 3 and 4, and we're saying it their whole adult life, while they're teenagers, all that, and basically, I think what I think when they came up with the term, it was to help them to get through some tough times and realize that their responsibilities are necessary for them to keep going, don't stop. However, I think what it did without meaning to do it was inadvertently was the word. I just didn't want to say it wrong. I think what it inadvertently did was cause a whole generation or two or 3 or 4 of men to believe that um, they can't really feel, that they don't have a right to be stopped in their path. Like if something happens, you're not a robot. You are. Let me help you out too. Oh man. Oh, I hope my dad not watching my because he gonna probably get me because he's a Trekkie. And Data, that's his name, right? Data. Yeah, that's his name. Data. I feel like that might not be his name, but if it is, in Star Trek, Next Generation, he was like a robot man and he didn't have emotions. He didn't know what that felt like. So a lot of times he would ask them like, what is that emotion that you're portraying? What is that, so he can kind of like adapt and learn like in artificial intelligence. And that's not what we are. We all were built with emotions. We all have feelings. And that's not a gender thing. Whether or not you access them, whether or not you acknowledge them, whether or not you push them down, doesn't mean you don't have them. I know we hear songs that says my heart, is a ice box and it's, I don't feel anymore. You hear people saying, no new friends, no new friends. There's a lot of mantras you hear that are based out of hurt. Okay. And so, and I'm not sitting here to make anybody feel like a victim. That's not the goal. Please don't look at it as that, right? I think you would be missing the opportunity if you believe that what I'm saying is that I want to take away personal accountability. That's, if you knew me, that's so opposite of who I am. I think everybody has to be accountable and do what they need to do. I also believe that, we have to be careful not to impose that on the men in our lives and the future men in our lives. Like, ladies, y'all can't meet these guys and, have this whole list of what you believe they're supposed to do. I mean, don't get me wrong, have your standards, but let's be very careful with our wording. Even if like Tabitha Brown, I know y'all see her. I love one of the things she says: if you can't have a good day, don't you go around messing up somebody else's day. And that's her saying. But something I used to always think was that I want to not only, somebody says, when I encounter somebody, I don't want to leave them any worse than they were. I'm going to go a step further. When I encounter somebody, I want to have a positive interaction with them. And so much so, like my intentionality in this stage of my life is so much different, where when I meet you, the goal is for you to not be the same, for you to not be able to kind of stay there. If you were depressed before you met me, or not even depressed, I don't use that word because I know it has multiple connotations, but if you were not in a good mood, by the time you leave me, you should be like, even if you don't feel like smiling, you be like, man, that girl crazy, but she had good intentions, or she had a good heart, or whatever. And then not about me, not about my self gratification, but more so the idea that when I encounter somebody, the goal is to leave them in a better position. Why am I talking about me? I'm saying I have been on so many dates and it has not, like, we didn't have a relationship because of the dates. But what I would like to believe is that I never left anybody in a worse position because they met me. I never, even if I felt like they were a rude person, even if I felt like we were not a good match, even if I felt like they did not align with the values and the morals I had, I was not going to disrespect them, emasculate them, or say anything to them to make them second guess their identity. Hear me when I'm saying that, why it's important. Because I think that we have to be so much more intentional, so much more deliberate in how we affect people. And I'm talking, that was strangers, but I'm even talking about how, even how you deal with your close people. Hey, mom, how you deal with the people that are close to you and around you. I'll give you an example. The way I deal with my son, I'm growing. I am somebody who definitely has grown with my son. You don't arrive when you have your child. You're a parent now. It's just everything perfect. Everything. Not true. It is definitely a journey. But with that thing, I feel like I am still growing. He's still my child, even though he's about to be 18. He's still my child. And one of the things I know for sure is that as I evolved, is that I don't own him. And he's my child, but I'm here to guide him on this journey called life. And so I'm being very careful because sometimes he asserts his independence. And I did not like that for a long time. And it's a time and place for everything, right? There has to be respect. There has to be authority. But someone said it so eloquently one time. And I mean, this is the best case scenario. It doesn't always happen, but someone said it so eloquently. They said, you have to find a way to redirect bad behavior or undesired behavior without breaking their identity and or scarring the independence that they're trying to assert. And I was like, what? And they went further to say, it sounds like you have somebody that's a leader and it's a free thinker. And instead of you trying to get them to line up with you, how about you more so redirect instead of literally, what's the word? What was the word used? Instead of me being I'm sorry, y'all, because I just want to make sure I said the right word. But basically being upset at how they're moving. And it was a hard pill for me to swallow. I'll be honest. That wasn't easy. And it's still not always easy. But I will say I started to think about it and I started to become super, super, super intentional about making sure that when I address him, I look at it as the fact that he's a little human. Well, he's not that little anymore. He's 6'2". He's going to be an adult very soon. And even if he wasn't an adult, that he's a human. And instead of me being critical, let me be careful of how I say things to him because I don't want to scar him because of my frustration in that moment, right? Someone used to tell me, they said, authority is not when you have to yell and scream and tell and hit and do all those things. Authority, real power comes when you're able to calmly communicate what you're trying to do. And then you're able to convince the other party that this is what's going to happen and this is what should happen. That's effective communication between a person that's an authority and someone that's under them. And so why am I bringing that up? I'm bringing that up because that's one way I encounter my son, right? I also had to be better with how I encounter other people, like, other men, even when they make me mad. There's certain words I don't say to them, certain things I don't do, because I always want to make sure that I am not injuring their personhood. No matter what happens, I like to make sure that that's not something I'm purposely doing, right? Or that I don't do it even if it's by accident. So, so, and I know you're thinking like, did she go on a tangent? No, because I'm talking about. I mean, let's be clear. I'm a woman, so I'm not a man. So I want to speak to the men that are on here or that are going to watch, um, and to the experience that, being intentional, that we don't say something that can have somebody second guessing. Because you know what they say, people might not remember what you said, people might not remember what you did, but they will always remember how you made them feel. And I think that it is we have to be much better at the idea of us having loose lips or being upset and saying something which you don't realize can stick with somebody for a long period of time because they remember that you made them feel less than. And in this case, a man, you made somebody feel less than a man in a conversation. We got to just be so careful about that. So yeah, so that's the whole Superman thing. That was something I wanted to be very intentional about. I hope that makes sense. I mean, I really want to make sure that y'all getting that. Let's see. I don't want to, this is something else I wanted to go into, but I don't want to bring this up. It's a little bit different. And I'm about to end this out. I did have another aspect of this. There's a level of pride that comes into this as well, man. Don't allow the idea that I'm a real man and therefore I don't need help, nor do I have an issue with how I handle my affairs. And don't assert that I do, because then I'm going to get defensive or I'm going to deflect because I don't want you really coming in. Y'all do know that's a deflection point, right? That's a, hey, you're too close, let me push you back, right? You know how people say, oh, give me my 3 feet, give me my 3 feet. That's because I'm protecting my boundaries. I'm protecting my area. And so it becomes a point of making sure that you don't you don't unintentionally do that, right? Let me be clear. Certain things that are defense mechanisms, they're hard to realize that they're not just a kick, a knee slap type of reaction. It's hard to realize that that's something that you're just doing. You're not realizing you're doing it. And so that's why I want to maybe just have these conversations so that you realize that, hey, I might unintentionally be pushing people away or not getting help when people do bring up certain things that really are a sore place for me because of my thought process, or I have too much pride to say that I'm not okay after this, or I'm not doing all right, or this kind of broke me, or that affected me. And you know what? It's been a while. I've never quite been right since that situation happened. The hope here is that you don't allow your pride to continue to come into your defense mechanism of what you assume a man is supposed to deal with. Listen, drop the stuff that you say, well, my daddy didn't do that. My dad wasn't on here talking about his feelings all the time. My daddy wasn't that type of man. He watched football, he had a beer, and he went to work, and he took care of his family. That's all I want to do. Okay. And I'm not going to say anything bad about your dad. What I will say is, we have to stop the generational curses and saying things like, oh, well, this is what my dad did, or this is what my mom did, or this is how my family handled it. I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, because I hear people say, oh, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But don't bring that up, because just because you've been operating like that for so long doesn't mean it's broke. There's a lot of dysfunctional things we carry through the generations just because it was taught, right? You know, a lot of stuff is learned behavior. And I'm not saying that there's nothing, it's that everything's wrong that you learn. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, let's take a closer look. If something happened to you, I'll give you an example. Let's say you were with somebody, gentlemen, let's say you were in a relationship and you were with somebody for 5 years. Y'all would talk about marriage and everything, and then something happened, and it broke off. And now you've been building your life for this person for 5 years, and you literally are single. Y'all probably had a child together, and y'all, it's no good. It's no chance for reconciliation. It actually got really ugly. Even if y'all stop beefing, you and that person stop like fighting, if it's not like a fighting, like a thing like that, let me tell you something. That's a traumatic situation. And it's hard. And don't you let any guys that's around you, don't let that barbershop talk, that best friend, that's my boy told me I need to get over it. In order to get over it, I need to get another chick. You know what I'm saying? In order to get over it, I just need to throw myself into work. In order to get over it, I need to just, do something else, think about another master plan. And while all of that is just an excuse, all of those are just forms of escapism. All of those are just things you can do to try to make yourself not think about it. The proper thing to do is acknowledge that being something that's really hard and start to give yourself grace and get the resources that you need to actually deal with that. Because what I hear people say, let me tell you, one of the hardest things and I know nobody's going to want to hear this, what I'm about to say. I don't care. One of the hardest things I've ever heard, or one of the things I don't like when people say, especially in regards to this stuff, is that, what did I say? Time heals all wounds. I don't believe it. It's not true. Y'all stop saying stuff that y'all heard because it sounds good. It's not true. Time does not heal all wounds. Let's test that theory. If somebody take a bazooka and shoot you in your arm, and it's a big gaping hole here, if you stand there and say time is going to heal that wound, you're going to die. You're going to bleed out and you're going to die. Why do I always talk about guns? Because I just think it's just the most, the easiest thing for you to conceptualize and visualize. Time does not heal all wounds. Now, you might say, well, this happened 25 years ago. I mean, why we bring this up? Why we worry about it? It's not, I don't want you to let that thing consume you. However, let's be honest. If something traumatic happened 25 years ago and you're still being affected by it, then yes, you still have to heal. You still have to work on it. And the idea of that you just got over it because it's been a time period that's been longer than you think or you're comfortable with is completely false. Completely false. So if y'all told somebody that time to heal all wounds, no, it's not true. It's not true. Now, when you go through certain levels of grief, there can be a moment where your grief is eased a bit. But I still check if there's something that's happened and there's some type of imbalance, or if there's parts of your life that has changed permanently because of this event. I think that that's something worth talking about. And I think that's something that you need to really go ahead and see somebody about, because you might say, well, this is a natural part and this is how I should naturally react, but you don't really know, right? We are people, creatures of habit. We are people who kind of base what we do off of our environment and our experiences. So if I'm dealing with life a certain way and everybody around me deals with it that same way, that's fine. But if I'm only talking about 6 to 7 people around me and it's 6 to 7 billion people in this world, then it's a possibility that I might not be dealing with it the most efficient way. One of my coaches, David Burris, says permission to think differently. I love it because it's the idea of, I'm going to give another one. I like to say permission to be wrong. How about you give yourself permission to be wrong? How about you give yourself permission to reconsider something that you once thought was law? Honestly, that's the only way that you're going to start going forward, is to start rethinking all those things that were facts, right? These things that you grew up and it was just facts. There were things that these are just infallible things that you have to do, and start realizing that no, just because that's the way you did it doesn't mean that's the way it has to be done. How's that working out for you? If you're somebody that, you have a hard time with relationships, then maybe, just maybe, it's not just everybody else. Maybe there's something that we need to revisit and look at from our past that may have not, that might have happened when we were 14. Or maybe I told myself that my dad not being in my life didn't matter, but really, honestly, it affects everything. It affects my self-esteem. It affects me knowing how to operate in this world in a manly way. Maybe it brought some rejection in that I didn't realize I had. And I don't talk about these things because that's not what the men around me were told that's what we do. Listen, I'm not trying to assert and I'm not trying to shrink, and nor am I trying to make you guys feel any type of way. The goal here is to just give yourself permission to not believe certain things just have to be a certain way. I think the way that we are the freest that we can be is to be able to realize that everything can change. I mean, not everything should, right? There should be some standards, right? But everything can change in the blink of an eye. And some stuff that we take as, like I used to hate when I was a kid, and certain things would be, I say, well, why is this? And they'd be like, well, it's just because, that's because how it is, because I said so. And listen, I understand that's what you do as a parent sometimes, especially with kids asking a million questions. I get it. But as an inquisitive person, I used to always think, but I just want to know why. And what I have learned is there's nothing wrong with questioning why. I mean, if you're a child and your parents tell you to stop, in that moment, you probably have to stop. But don't ever lose the inquisitive nature about you. Some of the most richest, wealthiest people, some of the most well-to-do, wisest people in the world are people that are critical thinkers, that they ask questions, that they were never okay with the status quo. The most creative people are the ones that they challenged everything that was put in front of them. So that's what I'm talking about today. Let's challenge the idea of what we assume a man is and what a man has to do and how he has to behave and the certain ways that he has to act in order to be considered manly. Let's challenge all of that. If you have lived your whole life with these ideas of certain things men have to do, I just invite you to a different way. I invite you to a different way. I invite you to give yourself permission to question some stuff. Question some things you were told. Question some things you saw. Question some ways how you react to things. Question certain things how you do. And listen, this is not to come out with the fact of, oh, this is all my fault. This is not about right or wrong. Remember I talked about accountability? This is about saying that if the goal is to be a better person every single day of my life, if that's the goal, it should be all our goals, right? Because you never stop learning, you never stop growing. If you're still alive, you're something you can grow and learn. So if that's the idea, is to be a better person every single day of our lives, then there has to be a moment where if we think everything's okay, or even if we're not sure, that we question how we do things. And it might not be that I'm wrong if I do things a certain way. It might just be there might be a better way to do it. There might be There might be, or there might just be another way. It's certain ways. Even when I used to go to work, I said, "Oh, I'm gonna try this way. I'm gonna go that way." And neither one of them wrong. They both got me to my destination. But sometime one of them, okay, would have tolls. The other one didn't, or but maybe the one that didn't, I was more riding through different towns, and it's just it was a matter of what experience I wanted. That's good. We're talking about journeys, right? What road you go down, it's just a matter of what experience you wanted. And then what I would always do is when I finished taking that ride, I would evaluate what I liked and what I didn't like about it, and then decide if I was going to do it again, or if I was going to go back to what I normally did, right? That's all life is. It's a series of choices and decisions. And guys, what I just want I want you guys to start doing is giving yourself permission to question everything. Everything. Why, when your kids question you and get on your nerve. Now, instead of just saying, because I said so, because it's my house, I do whatever I want to do, instead of saying that, start to think about why you really are doing things. My son grew me up a lot. He would ask me questions that I would just think were disrespectful. But let me tell you something. I got to a point where certain things I had to sit back and say, well, he made me listen. Because I used to like a reason, right? And so he made me, not that he was ever had an authority in there, but even when, let's say I put him on punishment, put him in his room or whatever, and then I go back later and think about the conversation, certain things he would ask me, and I'd be like, shoot, I can't believe he asked me that. I got the nerve to ask me that. And then I was like, you're doing it because I told you to do it. But then I also said, okay, but is there a better way that I can communicate that? And even though that might have not changed the outcome, I mean, isn't that what we all should do? Shouldn't we all get to a point where we are trying to just see if there's a better way to do it? I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching here. I just want us all to be whole. I want us to be healthy. I want us to be functioning well. And I want us, if we're not doing well, that we feel comfortable enough to speak up and say, I'm not doing well. It's the highest suicide rate is amongst men. And men of a certain age, I have the age down. I think it's between 17 and 60. I'm sorry, guys. I'll give you those numbers in a minute, but they're not as important. The point is that it saddens me because the reason the suicide rate is so high is because they don't talk this out. It's usually really dark, quiet, and very deep. The voices get in their head, and they started to really believe that they're not worth it. They're not worthy of. They're not a good enough man. They're not doing life well. And I think that if we start having conversations, that we can intercept some of these things. And yeah, maybe the extreme is the suicide, but let me tell y'all, you know how I feel about my zombies, right? Guys, if you don't know what that means, there are people that are walking around that's emotionally numb, that literally they're just here so they don't get fined. They wake up, they go to work, they wake up, they go do this. They do the same thing every day, and they have no real thrill. They have no real happiness. They don't have a reason that they feel like they're living. They have no belief system. And then literally, they don't hear another you doing, I'm nothing. How you feel? I don't feel no way. What you want to do? I don't want to do nothing. If you find it that you are living that way, you are emotionally numb. And there's a reason to it, and that means something happened. And oftentimes there's a way to work through that stuff to not just be here, but to actually live. Man, if you're breathing, that's a blessing. And I believe birthdays, I know how messed up we are because of how people celebrate their birthdays. I mean, there are legitimately people that be like, what's the purpose of celebrating my birthday? It's just another year I get older. I'm like, whoa. So that means you don't find anything good about being here another year on this earth, breathing, having another opportunity to be around the people you love, live life. If you can't see that, then that's a good example of the fact that you might just be existing. You might just barely be holding on. And I'm not saying you got to be happy every single day. Lord knows I have my days, but I'm saying that as a general, I I'm grateful and I have gratitude about why I'm here. And so if you don't see that, then like that's the conversation that needs to happen. And I hate when I hear people say, well, us men are simple. We don't need all that stuff. We don't need all that. We just sit us in a room with a TV. And I'm like, come on. Come on. Well, you can say I don't like a whole lot of stuff, but you have to at least be able to say what you do like, and you have to be able to emote if you need to and talk about things if you need to. I don't buy this whole idea that there's just some more of a simplistic way to do things as far as their emotions. I just think a lot of times they don't have the permission to feel, and therefore they don't, and they don't do it properly oftentimes, and it hurts them. So I hope this helps somebody. I The goal is just to hopefully change somebody's way of thinking one conversation at a time. That's the goal. That's just the goal. That's my goal. I mean, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this. So if anybody just came on, please go ahead and go back and watch the replay because I'm done. Just let me finish it up here. But I definitely am grateful that y'all rocking with me on this series. I think it's just a good conversation to have. On Thursday, don't forget to tune in. I'm going to have a special guest. His name is Ernest Benson. He's a licensed clinical psychologist as well, counselor, I believe, and he's had over 20 years of experience in the mental health profession. And so it's going to be so dope. I definitely want y'all to not miss it. Invite somebody to watch it. If you're a woman, invite the man in your life. Oh yeah, y'all come on too, and any man just like come rock with me. I'm trying to tell y'all it's going to be a good conversation, and you'll have that male point of view. That's the goal. Like I don't assert to be a man. I don't assert to know how you all think, but I will say this: that this is something that we all need to be more diligent about. Just like somebody says, you need to go take care of your prostate, you need to take care of your diabetes or any other illnesses. I'm telling you, your health, your mental health is a real thing, and it affects every single area of your life. Okay. So let's all be talking about this. So something I always say, I always tell everybody that you are enough. And I know y'all like, oh, here y'all go with that female stuff. But no, I'm going to say this. Guys, you are worthy and you're enough for you to put the energy into figuring out you, putting the energy into being a better version of you and realizing that it all starts about how you think, your mindset, right? If you don't believe, look, get in half of those clubhouse rooms and they'll tell you in a nutshell, it starts how you think. And if you're not thinking right, then that could be indicative of some other issues, and let's just start dealing with them. Okay. Yes. So you're enough. I'm going to say it till you believe it, because you're worth it. I don't have one of my shirts on today, but if you are trying to check out one of my shirts, you can go to my website, which should be right down there, www.johnson.com. I have a deal going right now. I just did it for the month of February. Buy one, get one free. I'm trying to get these shirts out because I got a couple more shirts coming through. Yes. I got a couple of ideas, y'all. So I want to get these shirts out. I'll still always have the You Are Enough ones, but just trying to, make some room. So definitely check it out. Buy one, get one free. The code is on the site, www.parispetejohnson.com. And for Black History Month, I'm wearing one of my favorite shirts. I am Black every month, but this month I'm blackety black. Because I am. I sure am. I truly am. But I love you all. Thanks for rocking with me as always. Y'all have a great rest of your evening. And I will see y'all on Thursday. And don't forget to like, comment, and share. If you just got on, put replay on here. Let me know that you watched it again. I go look at all the comments. I appreciate you. Share. Tag somebody in here that needs to listen to this conversation. I'm just saying, conversations. Why do you think Clubhouse is such a big deal? Conversations shift how the world works. It really does. You be in the right room, in the right conversation, your world will change. And I'm just trying to change somebody's life a little bit. One conversation can do it. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. All right, y'all. Have a great evening. Deuces.